This is going to be an intro level video on how to use a rotary. So if you have one laying around, you just purchased one and you want to give it a try on your car, in your home garage or something, this video will be for you. So it's not going to cover every single facet and go super into detail. But if you want to pick up a rotary up and give it a try and you know, work on a car, on your personal car, then this will be the video for you. We'll cover just the angle of the rotary, the down pressure, the arm speed, how to lay down the product, and a few other tidbits of information to get you out there and just start using the rotary. Okay, so for starters, the way you apply the product isn't going to be the same way as they do on the DA. They call it picking up the bead, but I don't want to spend too much time on this because you'll get this over time, but you're gonna lay down a bit of product on the I have some right here because it started gushing out, so I'll put it down here. So you're gonna put a bead down of your compound. Let me actually zoom in here. You're gonna put a bead of compound right here. You're gonna tilt it on its side, and then you're literally gonna pull the trigger, not all the way, but you're just gonna pick up the bead. So you're gonna press the trigger. It's gonna turn on, and you're gonna slide or move the polisher over the product to spread it around. So you're gonna do, I'm gonna try to go slow, but you're gonna pull the trigger, not all the way, just pull the trigger, let it catch the product, and then put it down, and you begin to spread it this method. Very easy to do. Just try it a couple of times as you work. The first couple of times you'll make some splatter, but just lay it on the bead and then pick it up, put it down, and spread it around. You'll get that over time, so we'll just skip that, but that is how you lay down the product for the rotary polisher. You're not gonna go here and put it on the dots, because if you go here and you turn it on, it's just gonna sling away. So here, you'll pick it up, grab it, spread it around. That way it stays on the paint and the pad and it doesn't fly away. So that's picking it up. So now let's go into the actual technique and method. So for starters, if you see a lot of rotary videos out there, is that a lot of them are gonna be this big bulky rotaries, which we have those as well, like the DeWalt one. It's it's much bulkier, it's a lot heavier, it's a lot stronger, and you see them with a very big pad. So this is a 5-inch backing plate with a 5-inch pad. This is a wool pad from Lake Country, I believe. But the difference here is we don't lay the rotary down flat. Maybe if it's a 3-inch or 1-inch, depending on what you're working on, maybe, and not even a 3-inch, more like the 1-inch, a 2-inch, you'll lay it down flat. But the 5-inch, a 3-inch, a 6-inch, a 8-inch, if you're having a much bigger wool pad, is you're not gonna lay it down flat. What we're gonna do is we're gonna tilt it on its side. Now there's gonna be some discussion and controversy and whatever. This is how I came to learn it. This is how I'm not a expert at rotary like true experts are, but we're gonna work it on its side. Now when I say work on its side, you're not gonna get crazy and you're not gonna work on the very edge. We're just gonna slightly tilt it to its side, and this is gonna give us, one, a lot more cut because we're working with a flatter surface, and then two, it gives us more control, because if you have a big pad that you see on videos, and we turn it on, it's just gonna spin around. And if you want to be very specific with how you move around the panel, it's a lot harder when it's flat because of the rotation. To where if we tilt it on its side and we work around the panel, we have a lot more control of where we put this pad because we're tilting it. And not only that, but we get more control and we can get into very intricate areas using a 5-inch for that specific reason. So we're gonna use it working on our side. We're gonna tilt it. So here's a better shot right here, and what we're gonna do is this is flat. We don't want it flat. We are going to tilt the polisher and work on this right side method. And the reason why it's gonna be on the right side is because that's the rotation of the pad. In some areas, depending on where you're working on, there will be times where you tilt it to the left based on where you are in the emblem or the panel or how you're positioned. There will be times where you tilt it to the left. But if we tilt it to the left, we're kind of going against the grain, so to speak. So when we tilt it on the right side, we have full control in all areas to do the polishing. Whereas with the left side, you'll have some bite here and there, and it just has a lot more, not constraint, but a lot more friction when you polish to the left of the pad. So we're always gonna polish on the right side of the pad. So, right side of the pad, very important. Next, what we're gonna talk about is how much you wanna hold the polisher. Again, going back to those videos to where You see those videos where they're gonna use the D handle, where they're gonna kind of hold it right here. They might have some gloves on, and not that that's wrong to wear gloves, but they might have some gloves on. They'll have the D handle. It'll be a big wool pad, and it just seems like, oh man, this is a manly tool. Like, you got to make sure you're holding on to it, and that's simply not the case at all. With a smaller, less powerful rotary, it's even more true that you don't need to have that much of a grip. Like, you don't need to overemphasize your grip to control the rotary, because it's a smooth machine. Now, for instance, if we're using the DeWalt one, simply because it's bigger and stronger, it's a bit harder to hold with one hand. But even with that one, depending what pad you're using and what size, you can still control it with one hand. I'm not saying you have to control it with one hand, like obviously use two hands. But what I'm getting at is you don't have to be like, okay, I have to hold on to it because I'm about to turn it on. Because what a lot of people do, just getting started, they'll have that D handle and they'll just grip it tight. And the mentality you want to have is you want to have light hands. And the reason why I say that is because, especially with the rotary, where since it's gear driven, it's going to keep on rotating no matter what, which is one of the good reasons of a rotary, is that if you want to get you want to finesse it and get into these angles or get into this curvature, you're able to do that because the rotary won't bog down. Now, with the way you grip it is if you have a very strong grip on it, right? Like you're holding it, like you're grabbing onto it. When it wants to, depending on the panel and whatever, when it wants to move one way, it causes you to fight the polisher more because it wants to go this way and you want to make it go the other way. So now you're kind of trying to balance it, trying to fight it the other way because you have such a strong grip on it. Whereas if you have a light grip on it, right, light grip on it, whenever it wants to move around, you can easily just let it move around and get back to where you want to be. I'm gonna lower it. Oh, that's as low as it goes. You're able to let it move and then get back to where you want it to be. Whereas so even if there's a bit of a on the panel, whatever, it starts to hop a little bit or just the angle of it gets a little funny. With light hands, you just have to redirect it and get back on path. Whereas if you're holding on to it tight and you're nervous and you're gripping the polisher, well, now you're kind of going to be gripping it and you're using the wrong method, but you want to make it go this way, but you're not doing it properly. So now you're kind of fighting it, and it's kind of, a back and forth between like, hey, like go this way, no, go that way. With light hands on the polisher, and I mean on both hands, both the top and the bottom, is that you can let it just run to where it needs to go, where you want it to go. But if you catch like a wrong, again, I'm just being very generic here, but like you catch an angle and it wants to go this way, well, let it go that way and then just bring it back to where it needs to go, right? So it'll flow a lot easier. It's not going to be as, it's not going to be as scary because, like, again, you see those videos, they have that D handle, they got the gloves on and they're saying, oh, like, well, I'm polishing it. We don't need to have that mentality, right? Light hands grabbing the polisher and letting it glide around the paint. If it goes off or starts skipping, it gives us the relaxation, the calmness to say, okay, let me readjust what I'm doing here. So again, light hands, like even with one hand on the polisher, on the rotary, right-handed here, if I just turn it on, it's not gonna go crazy, right? And it's flat right now. If I tilt it to one side, I have absolute full control of the rotary using one hand. And even if it hops around, it can hop around a little bit, but since I'm grabbing it very gently, it's gonna do what I want it to do. Even if I lay it flat and it goes crazy, if I have a light grip on it, I can still control it and I don't have to feel like it's gonna go crazy on me. As long as I have a light grip, and especially if I'm tilting it to the right, I have absolute control over this rotary. There is nothing that it's gonna do that's gonna scare me. And if it starts to hop or do something, okay, well, just get it back to where it needs to be. So using light hands is a very important skill, and I wouldn't say skill. It's more of a habit that you want to have when using the rotary, because this will save you a lot of headache. Again, we never want to be fighting the rotary, and it's going this way, but I want it to go that way. We don't want it to have that. And a lot of what you'll learn about the rotary kind of compounds on top of each other, right? So using the light hands is one thing, right? But you also want to pair it up with making sure that you're tilting the polisher to the side, because you can have light hands with the pad being flat on the panel, on the surface, right? And technically you're cutting and you're using it, But that's not the optimal version. To whereas if you lean it to the right and then you're using it with the light hands, with the right polisher, with the right angle, well, now you're able to kind of stack those skills on top of each other, and you're gonna get more and more cut. Using the rotary, whether it's for your business, for personal use, is fantastic. But if you're doing this as a business, or you wanna do this as a business, and you're spending a lot of time on the detailing side, unfortunately, that's not the part that grows your business. I guess you want to be the best detail that you can, because obviously you want to offer the best results. But a big part of getting customers and making money is understanding the business side of things. So that's like creating your website, optimizing your website, optimizing your Google business profile. That's creating social media content. That's knowing your numbers and pricing your jobs properly and making sure that you're profitable. So all these other things have nothing to do with detailing, but it's an integral part of growing your business. So if you want to get in-depth training on the business side of detailing, on marketing, sales, operations, pricing, sales, and all of that, you can check my Detailers Growth Academy down below, because 90% of the content inside of that academy is business focused. Now next, let's talk about arm speed, okay? So like right now I have on the slowest setting just because I'm making a video, so I keep on using the same section over and over. And each rotary is going to be different in terms of the setting that it has. Typically I work around like 12 to 1600 RPM on this one, depending on what I'm doing. More so around 12 to 14. But again, each rotary will be slightly different in terms of what actual RPM you get out of the setting, depending on, like, does it say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We know how high does the setting go. But right here we're talking about so I have it on the slowest one just because I'm showing you, I'm demonstrating. So when it comes to arm speed, again, if we look at those traditional videos, the D-hand and the guy working and he slaps a lot of product on there, they have very fast hand movement and they're moving it around. They're kind of going all over the place, right? We don't need to do that. We can do, now again, like the mindset behind the rotary is like, hey, it's stronger, it's a wool pad, it cuts faster, it also generates more heat, and it's gonna burn through the paint. And be careful, because that's why you need to use a DA, because a rotary won't do that. I mean, because a rotary will burn the paint. Now again, going back to what I said of you stack these things of using the rotary, and you just get better and better, right? So if you're using, now can a rotary burn through paint faster than a DA? Absolutely. But what I also want you to realize is, if you're just negligent on what you're doing, if you're just careless about the rotary, you can burn it. You can burn any paint. Obviously with the rotary it'd be easier, but if you're just being careless and negligent, of course your chances go up of burning the paint. Now I'm going to assume you're watching this video, you're paying attention to what I'm doing, and you're not negligent and you're not careless, so you have nothing to worry about. So arm speed wise is that we don't need to be over here going all crazy and, oh my god, like, make sure it doesn't burn the paint, right? Again, another controversial topic. A wool pad does not generate that much heat to what you believe it does, right? Again, I've been using the same spot for like at least 25 minutes now. So it's a bit warmer than what it typically would be if I just do one pass. But like I just said, I've been doing this exact same spot for 25 minutes between speed 8 and 1400. It's still fine. It's lukewarm, but it's not burning hot. So if we're using the right wood, the right pad, using everything correctly, we're tilting it, light hands, because again, if we have tough hands and you're pressing down on the machine and adding more down pressure, well, yeah, you're gonna create more heat. We don't need to do that. When you're using the rotary, as far as the hand placement and such, like, it's literally just resting on, and I know I'm going back to one point already, but like with the polisher, we don't need to put any down pressure, right? I'm almost never pushing down. No, I'm never pushing down on the polisher, because we don't need to do that. So if I turn on the polisher, I'm literally just gonna let the machine fall to the, not literally, but I'm gonna let the machine fall onto the panel, and that is enough down pressure to start cutting. So if I turn it on, I place it down, I turn it, this is enough to cut. Now again, if you want a bit more pressure, yeah, you can pull it down a little bit, or put a bit more down pressure. But I've always put less down pressure on the rotary than I ever have with the DA, because with the DA, it's safer. It's, you might have a 15 millimeter throw, so you can push down a bit more to get more cut. Whereas with this one, I've always used whenever I do use more down pressure, it's light down pressure because I don't need that much more to do the cutting because of the rotary, the wool, so you don't need to go crazy and like push, like you will never have to push down like that. It's a very slight little bit of down pressure, and again, depending on what you're cutting with or whatever, you might not even need that. So it's a very small light down pressure to get the down pressure for the cutting. But again, we still want to apply the light. You can put down pressure with light hands, so you can combine those two skills. So arm speed. Now again, what you have to take into account is how much cut you need to get your desired results, right? If you're working on very hard paint like BMW and it's heavily swirled, well, you'll work the product longer, or you'll get more aggressive, or you'll do more passes because it calls for it, right? Whereas if it's softer paint, the swirls and imperfections work out a lot better, well then you'll spend less time or less down pressure or less everything because, you know, that's what the condition calls for. So I don't want to give you like an exact, like, hey, this is how you work, because it's going to be dependent on the condition and the type of surface you're working on. Like for instance, on bumpers, you always want to be super careful. And I would even advise you, when you're first using the rotary, to always use a DA polisher on the front and rear bumper, because that's pure plastic. The metal can take a lot more than the plastic. The plastic, you can for sure, if you turn it wrong, if you leave it 1 second too long, you can 100% burn the plastic, and then you have to get it repainted. So getting started, I'll always say just use DA for the front and rear bumpers, because those are plastic and those are far easier to burn because of the material, versus the metal can take a lot more. So I'm not going to say, hey, this is the exact speed and whatever, because, you know, it all depends on the condition. That being said, though, what we don't need to do is we don't need to rush. Again, the wool pad is not going to create this crazy amount of heat where it's like, oh my God, it's so hot to the touch that I can't even touch it. It's not going to create that kind of heat. So arm speed is, you can still move at a decently slow pace, assuming you're doing everything else with the angle, with the pad, with the speed, assuming all that you're following that. So don't get into the mindset with, oh, okay, come on, is it good? Okay, a little bit. You don't need that. Slow arm speed, going back and forth, can get the job done. Again, as you're working, you check the heat. Oh wow, it's not hot at all. So you just keep on working. Now, granted, I'm on speed 800 because I'm just showing you guys. But this is a very acceptable speed. This is nothing crazy. Now, even if you bump it up to 12, nothing changes. We're still gonna work a slow tempo, making sure we're overlapping, putting a little bit of down pressure, going over the areas. Is the paint burning hot? It's a little hot because this is like, I've been using this one spot a lot. But again, like it's not, you're not gonna like, you know, you go a little slow and now you've burned the paint. It's not happening. So take into account the condition of the paint as far as the swirls, the type of paint between hard and soft, the surface material between fiberglass, metal, plastic, the desired results that you want. That's going to dictate, okay, do I do one pass? How fast do I move? Because there's also times when we're kind of in a rush because of client deadlines, because of the day, because of the amount of work that we have, where I'll put a more aggressive pad on. I'll get the bigger DeWalt rotary. I'll turn up the speed and say, hey, I have to really cut through this. So there's times where I'll move fast, but I move faster because I'm compensating for how aggressive I'm getting. Meaning, I have the more aggressive wool pad. It's a bigger wool pad, so I'm covering more surface area. I have the stronger rotary, so I'm able to produce more cut, to where I'm able to move faster because I'm cutting so much faster, right? So you have to take all these factors into account. I don't want you to think like, hey, it's a one-off be-all, and I'm supposed to move like, call it 2 seconds per 2 inches per second or what have you. A slow, steady pace is not going to burn the paint. Now again, if you skip all of that and you just put it down, you put it at 2000 and you just let it rip and don't move it, you will have issues. But that's you being on the negligent, careless part, and I don't think that's what you're gonna do on the paint, so you're gonna be fine. Now, when you use the rotary, one thing you're gonna get is holograms. That is to be expected. That is okay. That is what you want because of the type of cut that we're doing. So when you look into the paint work and you're seeing all these lines, all these hazy lines, those are, you know, whatever people call them, holograms, buffer trails, rotary trails, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be in the paint work. So for the sake of this video, I won't cover it here in terms of how to show you. But now what you would do after this, obviously inspect your work, see if, you know, if it's good, whatever, do some extra passes, what have you. But now to refine the holograms and to get the desired results, now you would go into what's called the half step. Now this is called the half step because now the goal is to remove the holograms. We're not gonna jump straight into our polishing step with a yellow foam pad or a white foam pad. What we need to do next is to remove the holograms that are now in the paint work. So now you can go with a traditional two-step basically. So let's say you're gonna grab a microfiber cutting pad with, you know, maybe even the same cutting compound that you use in the rotary. And with this one is, we're not focused, let me actually zoom out because I'm so zoomed into myself. We're not focused on removing swirls and scratches or any other paint imperfections with the DA, because that's why we cut with the rotary. We're gonna cut with the DA as a half step to remove the holograms. So we're not doing multiple passes and going up and down and inspecting the paintwork. We've already done that with the rotary. What we're doing now is removing the holograms. So the cutting pass with your dual action polisher and your microfiber cutting pad is gonna go by faster because we're not removing imperfections. We're removing the hologram, so it's gonna go by faster. Once you're done there, then you go into the last step of the polishing process, right? So now when you do the cutting phase, you're gonna have your micro hazing, right? And then now it just becomes a two-step. Now you're gonna use a white foam pad or a yellow foam pad with a polish and refine the paintwork and remove the micro hazing out of the paintwork. But that's gonna end the video right there. Again, this was just an intro level video on the basics of using the rotary. We could probably spend 30 minutes on each step that I showed you and going more into detail, but this is just like a quick, hey, click on the video, learn it real quick and go apply it and learn the process. So if you have any specific questions about the rotary in terms of what to use, how to use, why to use, when to use, leave those in the comment section below. That way I can create more content using the rotary. And I also have a playlist as I create more and more videos covering just how to use a rotary because it's a very effective tool. So again, if you want to leave me your feedback on what you want to see covered in the comment section down below. And if you want to join the Academy to learn the business side of detailing and you want to start and grow your business, then you can also find that link down below as well. I'll talk to you on the next one.